So here we are in Sydney having a wonderful time on this beautiful day. It's gorgeous. We're going to be seeing lots of things during our time here. We've got some sunny days and some
We've had some very wet days, which we'll show you.
Share with you. But it's beautiful today. We have an opera house tour soon. We've been to the Rocks and we've had morning tea at the Tea Cozy, which is absolutely gorgeous. Little place to have morning tea. We're going to the Maritime Museum a bit later.
Yes, I'm going to go and do a tour of a submarine. But we're going to be checking out, aren't we, some of the top places to go and see in Sydney. So
enjoy the journey with us.
The first thing that I think about when I think of Sydney is the Sydney Opera House. This is such an incredibly beautiful building and such a feat of architecture. Doesn't matter where you stand, you know, you get such a beautiful view. You can walk right around the Opera House. The person who originally designed the Opera House was actually a Danish architect, and I won't even try and pronounce his name. But the sails have certainly become iconic. When you think of Australia, one of the first images I think that comes to mind is the Sydney Opera House. Linda and I are on a behind-the-scenes tour at the Opera House. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to go and film in the auditorium, but the tour of the Opera House is just so interesting, and it's really well worth doing if you get the chance. Whichever which way you turn, you know, you get a different perspective of the Opera House, really so unique. I'm standing here on the steps. I'm just blown away by how beautiful Sydney is, just looking at the skyline, looking at Circular Quay, and it is such a beautiful city. So Linda and I have just been and done a tour of the Opera House. It was absolutely fascinating to go inside the Opera House and just learn about the history of it, how it was constructed. We got to go and touch the tiles that are on the roof, and yeah, certainly something that was well worth doing, a lot more interesting than what people might expect. And so now we're heading over to have a look around the submarine and destroyer, the Australian Maritime Museum.
So we're doing some art and culture tour.
That's it. Here it comes. So I'm just standing outside the Australian National Maritime Museum.
Ahoy me hearties.
Ahoy me hearties. And about to go inside and tour the HMAS Onslow. And
The Onslow was commissioned in 1969 and saw 30 years service, which takes it up to 1999. It's actually quite long. It's 90 metres long, and we're about to go and enter via the forward torpedo room through the chute where they would load torpedoes onto the boat. Entry to the sub is a bit of a tight squeeze, down through this narrow hatch, down into the torpedo room. The sub was equipped with 6 forward torpedo tubes and could carry a maximum of 22 torpedoes. And each torpedo weighed something like 1 tonne each. So that's a lot of explosive power for this sub.
And when you've got the door closed and the tube flooded, then that's ready to be fired. So that's...
Just imagine how hard it would have been for sailors trying to sleep on board a sub. They've got their racks right next to passageways where sailors would have been walking through, people trying to catch some rest. This is where all the cooking took place for a minimum of 69 sailors who were on board at the time. And this is now the chief's quarters. I believe there were 2 chiefs and a bosun used this space. This is the wardroom, and this is the space where all the officers would sleep. They've got bunks for the crew wherever they can fit them. I've just entered the control room, and there is just so much stuff packed into such a small space. They've even got 2 periscopes. One that we'll see is the attack periscope, and the other one behind it is a search periscope. But we're going through the engine room. The hatches would have been fun navigating these in a hurry. Throughout the boat, you'd find a number of these, what they call mess areas, where the sailors could come and have a meal, have some downtime, and also catch some shut-eye as well. Certainly is time for a Starbucks. Linda's getting cangry. Coffee angry, I think. Well, we made it into Sydney.
We did. It was a little bit terrifying on that double decker bus ride in.
What was so terrifying about the bus?
Well, it gets really close to the buildings and it hits the trees as you're going past, because we were up the top, right in the left-hand corner.
Yeah.
So yeah, things get
on the
very close.
top deck. Mm-hmm. But it's a great way to prune. Great way to prune all the trees and shrubs as you're coming into the city.
There's scratches on the windows of the bus. Guess why?
Now, that's true. I didn't think of that. And we found finding a toilet in Sydney is an interesting experience.
Yeah. But we got one.
So we're at Starbucks. Linda's not being coffee cangry anymore. So going to go down and explore the rocks and Circular Quay.
Yeah.
Coming from a small country town and walking through the streets of a city of 5 million people with such towering skyscrapers, I found looking up at the skyscrapers, it's just so mesmerising. One of the things that I really like about Sydney is the mixture of old and new. We've got the old buildings on the left, and then we've got the city skyline as well. Old with the new. And welcome to the rocks in Sydney.
This is such a fascinating place. This is a site of where Australia was first settled back in 1788, January the 26th, when the first fleet arrived and unloaded their cargo of convicts. So come with us today as we go and explore the rocks and look at its fascinating history. So just walking down the Suez Canal at the moment. It's a very good reason that it's called the Suez Canal. Leave that to your imagination. A lot of the old buildings now mixing with the new high-rise in the background here in Sydney. It's just so good to see. So good to see the heritage buildings being preserved. All too often we see our old buildings getting demolished and putting up new modern ones.
Another of the many historical areas in the rocks is the Nurses' Walk, and called for obvious reasons because nurses would use this passageway to walk through to go to the local hospital.
So just going through the Nurses' Walk now. Always lots of people around. And this was the first hospital in Sydney from 1788 to the early 1800s and became a police station.
This beautiful building that I'm standing in front of is called Cadman's Cottage. It is one of only a handful of buildings that is left from the very early years of colonisation in Sydney, and it was built in around 1816. This is the oldest pub that has been continuously in use in Australia. We've tried a couple of times to go in for a meal, but it's just simply too popular.
The Rocks Markets, here we are. Let's go spend some of your money.
Let's go spend some of your money. We're going to go and check out the Rocks Markets, and yeah, we've heard they're pretty special, so let's go for a walk, walk along a beautiful part of the Rocks.
A little painting and a little something. I don't know.
I'm going to stop and look at something. How good does that look? The ferry, the cruise ship and the Harbour Bridge in the background. So just walking around the wharfs now at Circular Quay. We're going to be catching a ferry ride over to Manly. I believe that leaves from wharf number 3. A couple of days ago we were here, it was just pouring rain. It's so great to see the sun out now.
I'm really enjoying just being able to go and walk around Circular Quay. It's a beautiful walk from Circular Quay over to the Opera House, and just watching all the happenings at Circular Quay, the ferries coming and going, watching all the people milling around and the shops and the eateries. It has a really amazing vibe to it.
Waiting for
How does he do it? The few days ago when I was standing here, it was just pouring rain. It's amazing what a couple of days difference can make. Absolutely stunning. Okay, let's go.
Do we ask where it's going? Oh, we're good.
We should be good. Side A, Manly, 11 minutes. Sit out the back, honey. Yes, things are rocking a bit now for us. We're actually going to go and do one of the must-see things to see and do here in Sydney. And what's that?
The Manly Ferry.
That's
to Manly.
right, we're taking the Manly Ferry over to Manly. So come with us while we go and enjoy a ride across the harbour and explore Manly this morning. So we're still enjoying our trip across Sydney Harbour on the Manly Ferry. And it's actually surprising just how smooth the ride is. I mean, there's a lot of wind because you're travelling at I don't know what speed. But yeah, still a smooth ride, just a little bit of up and down, isn't there?
Yeah, bit of ripping.
So you can see it blowing all my hair about. It's blowing so hard, it's blowing it away. Oh my gosh. So it only takes about 20 minutes to go across from the city across to Manly, so it's pretty quick and you don't even know the time passing.
So much to see.
Oh yeah, there's so much.
You're busy, aren't you?
Yeah, you're busy looking at everything.
Photos and video.
Checking everything out, yeah. Yeah, it's a great ride. It's just such a great way to get out and see the harbour. See Sydney Heads there in the distance where boats sail out for Sydney to Hobart. So this is now walking through the Manly Wharf area. People coming along, tapping on, getting ready to go on a boat. Yeah, you can come over here on the ferry and then catch a bus, go up to Palm Beach, visit Summer Bay. Quite a few shops in here at the wharf. Okay, honey, we're over here at Manly. You've got one job.
One coffee?
To find coffee.
Everyone's walking this way.
So at the moment, I think we're just following the crowd. So Linda's busily scanning around now, trying to find a coffee shop. I think there's a coffee shop on the waterfront.
I imagine there would be here.
Yeah.
There's one back there that has crepes.
Yes.
You want to have crepes?
Yeah, I saw one further down. We'll try the waterfront. See if we can get a coffee down there. So Linda and I are finally getting our coffees. And what better location? It's such a beautiful beach. You can see the flags that they've got out for it. Happy Australia Day. Water's looking so nice today. Linda's wanting to go and check out some of the shops before we head back on the ferry. So Linda and I have just had a lovely morning over at Manly, haven't we?
Yes.
And got to walk along Manly Beach, got to go and do a bit of souvenir shopping, got to have a nice breakfast of pancakes and maple syrup at the Stein. So now we're back on the ferry and we're heading over to Circular Quay. So leaving Manly Wharf, heading back over to Circular Quay.
Might have to go past that yellow.
Oh, it's starting to look like we're going out Sydney Heads.
I think they'll turn at that yellow buoy, do you think? Yeah,
Well,
here we go.
I'm hoping they're turning soon
Down
because I don't
we
want to go out the Heads.
Down we go. Look at that yacht. It's going to catch on fire. Look at the
Oh, he's pumping out a bit of smoke, isn't
coming
he?
out of there. That's the way we went on from
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah, that's the ferry we came in on from Barangaroo. We're just disembarking from the ferry now. Come back from Manly over to Circular Quay. All the crowds are getting off. One of the other great things to come and see and do here in Sydney is to come and check out the Royal Botanic Gardens. So Linda and I are going to go for a walk around. Oh, Linda's hurrying me up. Here we are walking through, we've just walked through the entrance now to the Sydney Botanical Gardens. Linda's been wanting to come and check it out. I know our daughter's wanting pictures of plants. Such a pretty green space, isn't it?
The gardens are situated on around, I think it's 30 hectares, and it's so close to the city. It's just a short walk from the Opera House, and it's so easily accessible.
After being in the hustle and bustle of the city, it's just really nice having a park like this that you can just come and spend some quiet time, if you like, as quiet as I suppose it can get in a city of 5 million people. Walking past Government House at the moment, just to my right. So now just looking into the grounds now of our Government House in the park here in Sydney.
1 minute you can be surrounded by heaps and heaps of people in the city, and just a few minutes walk away and you've got these beautiful gardens where you can just sit down, relax and enjoy nature. It doesn't get much better than that, does it? If you've enjoyed our video, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Thanks so much for watching.